Multiple winter storms are on the way, and the first one to figure out is this weekend snowstorm across the Midwest. 1 to 2 feet of snow is in the forecast, and this winter storm as a whole is going to stretch from the northern plains all the way into the northeast. So we'll get very heavy on the details with that to kickstart this video, and then we're watching next week for another winter storm risk. We'll speak on what we know with that. And I'm already watching a third time frame as we get about a week into December, another shot of cold air, maybe some moisture around, and we'll just speak on the pattern in general as we make our way deeper into the month of December. Some wild stuff really starting to show up, and I'll just give you my thoughts on everything. So my name is Mitch. Good Friday morning. Hope you guys are doing well and had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's look at the morning NAM. This is a short range model, and the time frame is up here. Let me move that out of the way. So it's around 8 a.m. Eastern time. So of course this is central time for the most of this area. So back it up an hour, so 7 a.m. So we got an area of snow, and this is verifying pretty well if you look at the current radar, which I did before I started this video. So this is verifying pretty well right now. So let's get this in motion, and let's go all the way to about early this afternoon. So this is around lunchtime. Looks like some snow, some winter weather starting to move into Omaha, Lincoln, and the low pressure is really developing down here. So this is going to bring a warm nose aloft, some warmer air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So you might get more so a wintry mix here in southern areas of Nebraska, but looks to start off as maybe some heavy wet snow in Omaha. And this is kind of a thin band. I mean, it's technically not really thin, but it looks thin if you look at the broader picture here of snow moving through areas of the Dakotas, Pierre, Bismarck, around the northern fringe of this. But as we start to move into, say, later this afternoon, this is around 5, 6 o'clock or so, heavy snow begins to move into Des Moines. So you see this pink and purple down here. Think of this as a wintry mix to maybe some sleet, snow, and even freezing rain in Lincoln. So you might start out as snow in Omaha and then goes as sort of a wintry mix. All snow up in Sioux Falls. Looks like it's starting to taper off in Pierre. Heavy snow starting to move into Des Moines. And then we continue to move forward, and we take this all the way until about midnight tonight. All-out winter storm is unfolding across the state of Iowa. It's starting to snow in all of southern Minnesota. Snow is knocking on your doorstep here in Minneapolis. I know this green, you're probably thinking this is rain, but this is snow. It's just how this model shows it. But this is snow on the northern edge, and this is snow over here on the eastern edge. Now down here, this is flat-out rain. But even look, check out northern areas of Missouri. This is heavy, wet snow. And then the radar begins to fill in later tonight across the Dakotas, back into Wyoming, Casper getting snow still in eastern Montana. And we continue to move this forward. And let's go on and just kind of move this entire picture a little bit further east. Let's get this back in motion. This is around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's go on and take it to daybreak tomorrow. An all-out winter storm is beginning to really take over Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison. It's still an all-out winter storm in Iowa, southern areas of Minnesota. It's still snowing back in Lincoln. You might start out as snow, go to a wintry mix, and then go back to snow in areas like Omaha, Lincoln. It's snowing as far south as even northern areas of Kansas on this specific run. But if you look down here, I want to spend about a minute or so on this. But St. Louis is a tricky spot, right? I'm telling you, I would wake up a little extra early tomorrow if you're a big winter weather fan in St. Louis. I think it could start out snowing like crazy. Like snowflakes the size of cotton balls. There will be a very saturated column down here. A lot of warm air aloft, but not warm enough to keep this rain, at least in the beginning. But this could be very heavy, wet snow. And we'll actually break down a sounding of St. Louis a little bit deeper into the video. But big snow starting to move into Chicago. Let's get this back in motion here. And we take it to about lunchtime tomorrow. And just an all-out classic snowstorm, one your grandma or grandpa used to talk about back in the day. This is a classic for the Midwest. Still snowing back in Sioux Falls. You're on the northern edge of this in Minneapolis, Green Bay, getting some heavy snow. I think there will be a sharp cutoff on the northern edge of this, but it's snowing in Indianapolis, snow on the doorstep of Detroit midday tomorrow, heavy snow in Chicago, Peoria. Could start out with some heavy wet snow in Evansville, western, northwestern areas of Kentucky, but you do switch to rain in St. Louis. You even start to switch to some rain maybe as far south as southern Iowa. And we take it all the way out to tomorrow evening, same thing, just big snowstorm overspreading the area. There's that low pressure though, starting to cut more north, so this is going to bring some warm air aloft, but could be just very, very heavy snow in these darker corridors of kind of blue here. It's even starting off as heavy snow in, say, Cincinnati, Dayton, even Louisville, a wintry mix. It's showing all snow in Indianapolis, which is a big question mark. And then we take it to, say, the middle of the night tomorrow night. Like this is 1 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday. Still an all-out snowstorm. UP of Michigan, Lower Michigan, Cleveland, Toledo, it's snowing. Columbus is still snowing. Dayton, Cincinnati, at this point you switch to rain. Snowing in Chicago still. And we take it all the way out to a daybreak Sunday morning, right? Starting to taper off across the Midwest. And then we got to figure out in the Northeast. Looks like a wintry mix. The pink is freezing rain in the favored cold air damming regions of like Virginia, West Virginia, Western Maryland, the mountains and higher elevations of, PA, Allegheny Mountains, stuff like that. Snow is flying around in northern PA. Could start out snow of a wintry mix. Buffalo getting some snow. This is around 10 a.m. Sunday morning. And we go all the way out to about lunchtime Sunday. And we're just going to kind of get a wintry mix. I think this will probably be winter weather advisory type stuff across the interior New England area, but we got to watch the trends if they do trend colder. I-95 corridor, though, it does look like it's probably just going to stay mainly rain, but we got some lake effect snows, even with some cold air dipping behind this system that's going to get kickstarted again for at least a period of time. Not a long duration event, though, but that's the entirety of the storm. Okay, now let's break down what everybody probably wants to hear about, and that is the projected snowfall totals. And we're going to make our way west to east. So if you're tuning in for the entirety of the video, I'll have timestamps broken up for different sections of the country, but I don't want to just leave our friends out to the west hanging here. So here's Montana. Pause the screen. I know I don't have a lot of viewers from this area, but I did just want to show some love to the state of Montana. This is Wyoming. Okay, not a big event, but I do think the further east and northeast you get into the state, the more snow you could certainly get, but definitely not a big event. And then we go up to North Dakota. The southern areas of the state will get the most snow, but not a big storm for you guys' standards whatsoever, but a few to several inches of snow in southern areas of North Dakota. South Dakota, this starts to become a heavier system, okay? Sioux Falls, 4 to 7, Watertown, 3 to 4, Aberdeen, 4 to 6 inches of snow, some pockets in the yellow where you get half a foot of snow. And if I'm going too fast, just pause the screen. It would take forever. My videos are long enough. It would take even longer to say every town and city name on this screen. But here's a broader look at Nebraska. This has trended a little bit snowier in general for the state of Nebraska. Almost the entire state could see some snowfall accumulation now, but the further you work into the eastern, northeastern areas of the state, the more snow that's in the forecast. So let's just take a closer look at, say, Omaha, Lincoln, and the Sioux City area. Omaha now going for 4 to 9 inches of snow. Lincoln, 2 to 6. There is some ice in the forecast with this, and let's see if we can find it really quick. Yeah, so definitely some ice in the forecast. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice. Some areas in this orange color here, that's where over 1/10 of an inch of ice is possible. So be aware of some freezing rain. And then we take it up to Minnesota. Minneapolis itself, 3 to 6 inches of snow, and some of these graphics will update. I'll have another update on all this tonight. But 3 to 6 inches of snow right now, and I like that forecast. But you get closer to the Interstate 90 corridor, this is where half a foot to a foot of snow is in the forecast. So a lot more snow down here. And then Iowa. This is going to be a high-impact state for snowfall. Des Moines, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Ames, 1 foot to 1.5 feet. Same thing in Dodge. Fort Dodge, Waterloo, 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow. Just this entire area in the orange, you can get 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow. You get closer to the southwestern areas of the state, some warm air aloft moves in. There's going to be a sharp cutoff south of Interstate 80 in the southwestern areas of the state. So just be aware of that. Could mix with a little bit of freezing rain. And sure enough, here's a few 1/100ths of an inch of freezing rain that's in the forecast on top of a few to several inches of snow down here in this portion of Iowa. Now we'll show some love a little bit deeper, closer to the Kansas City area. Inch or less of snow is possible, but you get into the northern areas of Missouri, Kirksville, 4 to 6 inches of snow. But some of these snow totals have dropped off a little bit in this area. A little bit of freezing rain is possible in these areas. Now we take it down to St. Louis. Want to spend a couple extra minute or two on this part of the video. This is a huge, tricky area in my opinion, and I'm antsy to see what happens in this area. First off, I will mention that the forecast in St. Louis is for 1/2 inch, but you got the potential for 5 inches of snow also. Bowling Green, 1 to 8 inches of snow. Quincy, 3 to 9. Litchfield, 4 to 8 inches of snow. This is a tricky area that I think will absolutely start out as snow, and it could be heavy, wet snow. I mean, the discussion from the National Weather Service in St. Louis, I read it. It says you can get inch per hour rates, and I could see getting 2 inch per hour rates. It's going to be heavy cotton ball like snow. And if we take a look at the sounding in this area, okay, St. Louis here, and this is getting into tomorrow morning. I'm going to click a sounding right in the St. Louis area. I'm going to try to explain this in the best way where you guys, as the audience, can understand. You see the 32 degrees right here in the red? That is the temperature at the surface where you're standing in St. Louis, okay? So it's 32 degrees, right? And then you see the green area, right? That is the dew point. So the temperature is 32 degrees, and then the dew point is right under it, right? So I could see the temperature being 32 degrees, dew point being like 31.8. So when the dew point is hugging up against the temperatures like that, that means it is very moist. I mean, the air is quite literally super saturated. So the further up you go on this line graph, okay, the higher up you get in the atmosphere. So if you notice, you know, that the green is overlapping the red. The red is the temperature. As you get just the temperature, whether it's at the surface or the upper levels of the atmosphere. The green is dew points, okay? These are your dew points, how moist it is in the atmosphere. If you notice, the temperatures and the dew points are right beside each other all the way up until you get about, I would say, like 20,000 feet up, and then there starts to get a little bit of separation. But to kind of sum this up, the atmosphere is super saturated. It's called a saturated column. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, it's 32 degrees at the surface, and you see this this blue line here. That is your 32 degree line, the higher up you get. So it's 32 degrees at the surface, and it stays 32 degrees basically in the entire aloft area, basically in the entire upper levels of the atmosphere. You have, at least in the beginning of the storm, there's no warm nose of air where you get about a mile up in the atmosphere and you get an area of warmer air that kind of goes above 32 degrees that might melt snowflakes as they make their way to the surface. So aloft, it is cold enough. It's below 32 degrees. So this is all snow, heavy, wet snow, what we call sounding. And because the air is so saturated, because of the low pressure nudging into the area, just saturating the entire environment, not only is it going to snow, but it is going to snow heavy. All the moisture in the atmosphere is going to fall as heavy, wet snow. And because there is no warm air aloft, at least at this point, this is going to unload snow on you guys in St. Louis for at least a couple hour period. It's just, is it going to stay snow? So I wanted to explain that with you guys. Haven't explained the sounding in quite some time, so a little bit rusty at it, but we'll get better at it in time here, especially as we get closer to severe weather season. But let's go back up into Wisconsin, starting in the northern areas. Green Bay, I mean, it's trending a little bit higher, 6 to 8 inches of snow. But you get south of Green Bay, this week you get over a foot. And then we make our way, and we're going to get really micro detailed in this area because this is a hot spot for snow. Well, a cold spot, I would say. But you know what I'm saying, Eau Claire, 3 to 7. But we get down here into Madison, 8 to 14. And someone made a good point in the comments. I was skimming through them last night. You know, there is a difference in some of these graphics. For example, one graphic might say 8 to 14 inches in Madison. Another might say 10 to 15. I think it's a timeline difference here, but also there's just, different updates on some of these graphics. But don't get so caught up in the range. Just kind of create an average between this range. And there is a high end, though, too. So, also keep that in mind. Don't disregard that. But this is kind of right here where Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northeastern areas of Iowa connect. And just a closer look. For example, there's another one in Madison. Like Madison on this says 8 to 14. Madison on this says 9 to 19 inches of snow. And I think 1.5 feet of snow is possible in Madison. And I think this is because this stretches out to 6 a.m. Monday. This stretches out to about noon on Sunday. So could be some additional snowfall. So it's just a timeline difference here. But Milwaukee, 9 to 18 inches of snow is in the forecast. Janesville, 10 to 19. Man, southern Wisconsin, this is going to be a big spot for heavy, wet snow. And then kind of right here where Illinois and Iowa connect, Quad Cities, 12, 13 inches of snow. I mean, they're going with exact snowfall totals here, right? Dubuque, let's see if we got an update with this, see if we have any new information. We don't. So this is a big area right here for over 1 foot of snow in the forecast. And then Chicago, let's update this graphic, see if we have another one. I did that last night, and I kind of glitched out not my computer, but these graphics. But Chicago, they're going for just a solid 8 inches of snow. But listen, I could see 8 to 12 inches of snow in Chicago. But you get closer to Rockford, closer to a foot. Freeport, 12 inches of snow, foot of snow. Peoria, 10 inches. Bloomington, 10 inches. So this is a big classic winter storm on the way. A little bit further south in Illinois, Bloomington, 7 to 10. Peoria, 9 to 12. For example, this graphic's more exact, 10 inches in Peoria. This one shows 9 to 12. So more of a range, which I like showing more of a range better. But you get, south of Interstate 72, 74 here, and it definitely begins to, you get some more question marks. 5 to 8 inches of snow in Springfield. Galesburg, 10 to 15 inches of snow, and Effingham, 3 to 6. And then we get into the southern areas of Illinois. You could get a little bit of freezing rain in this area, but not expecting much. But a little bit of snow down here. Mount Vernon could get a half an inch, could get 3 inches of snow. And then we go back up into northern areas of Wisconsin. Michigan, my bad, getting my states mixed up. Gaylord, 4 to 6 inches of snow. And the UP of Michigan, a few inches of snow is possible from this. But definitely a hefty winter storm for this area, but nothing you guys can't handle up the Interstate 75 corridor. Some areas could get a half a foot of snow from this, on top of whatever snow you got from the lake effect stuff in the system a few days ago. And then showing the entirety of the rest of lower Michigan, Grand Rapids, 8 to 12. Going for 4 to 6 in Detroit, Kalamazoo, 8 to 12 inches of snow. St. Joseph, 8 to 12. And then dropping it down to northern Indiana. There's a lot to cover, guys. So much to cover. Several inches of snow is expected in northern Indiana and southern areas of lower Michigan. Anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow in this entire region. Fort Wayne, 5 to 8. South Bend, 10 to 13. Central areas of Indiana, big question marks. Indianapolis, going for 2 to 5 inches of snow. Let's update this. I want to see if it just increases in this area because... in fact, the latest graphic has knocked it down to 2 to 4 inches of snow. But this is going to be a tricky battle zone area. Down Interstate 70. Crawfordsville, 3 to 6. Franklin, 1 to 4. Tricky area to figure out. Lafayette, 4 to 10. And then we show Kentucky. Want to show some love. Evansville to, Louisville to Lexington, Cincinnati. I think the northern fringe of Kentucky could get a little bit of snow. Is it going to stick? I think we got to figure that one out. But Cleveland, this is combining kind of what's going on right now with the storm on the way. And this only goes out to about 7 a.m. Monday, but a few to several inches of snow is expected for northern areas of Ohio. And then we take it down into southwestern areas of the state of Ohio, Columbus, an inch or two, Springfield, 2 to 3 inches of snow. So some snow on the way in this area, but this only goes out to about 7 a.m. Let's update this, see if we got a new graphic. And we don't, so we could definitely get more snow than this. And yeah, we don't have any more graphics. So I want to see if this goes up at all in this area also, but right now that's what they're going for. And let's show some love to West Virginia. I think a little bit of snow is possible in West Virginia. This takes us out to Monday morning. And I do want to watch out for some ice in this area too. A few 1/100ths of an inch of freezing rain is possible. So be aware of that in West Virginia. And then showing eastern areas of Ohio and then western areas of PA, Pittsburgh. About a half an inch of snow is forecast. 1 inch of snow in Davis, Oil City, 5 inches of snow. Could get a little bit of freezing rain in this area. The rest of PA, this is what you're looking at. Erie, 3 inches. Meadville, 6 inches. It's combining some of the lake effect snow ongoing right now. But this is a tricky area too. Sort of central PA. Could get an icy mix. State College, 1 inch. Williamsport, 1 inch. Wellsboro, 2 inches. So this is definitely a tricky area, and I want to watch out for some freezing rain in this area, but there's no freezing rain graphics for us to look at, so that kind of stinks. But all right, heading up into the New York area, this is combining some of that lake effect snow combined with the storm system moving in. So, take some caution looking at this and don't think this is all because of this system moving in later this weekend into early next week. This is combining the lake effect snow ongoing. But this is the graphic for this area. Tug Hill will get theirs like usual. South of Buffalo, same thing. Buffalo could get 2 inches of snow from the system moving in. This is Binghamton. This area, the Finger Lakes, Syracuse, 8 inches of snow between now. This is only going out to 1 p.m. tomorrow. So this is really just talking about the lake effect stuff. But this goes all the way out into Monday morning up in the Adirondacks. Old Forge, 7 inches. Lake Placid, 3 inches. And this is the entirety of Vermont. Almost everybody is good for at least a little bit of accumulating snow in Vermont. And then this is areas of New York. Albany could get 1 inch of snow. Now, I will say that this is mainly for, let's click on this. All right, this is better. Albany, about 1 inch of snow, but this is mainly for what happens with any kind of lake effect snow streamers breaking containment. And then I do want to show you, this is between now and Monday morning, a couple inches of snow possible in the Berkshires for what's on the way, between a little bit of lake effect stuff kind of breaking free and breaking east, and then the system on the way. Could get a little bit of freezing rain from this too. Let's look at the ice forecast, but nothing really showing up, so nothing to really show you guys. This is Vermont, this is Maine, and this is the rest of Maine. Losing a little bit of steam, guys, with this. But there's sometimes I just get so carried away with the details, but I can't help myself. I just love getting detailed with it. But this is the watches, warnings, and advisories, and I forgot to mention this in last night's video, but this is where we have winter storm warnings up. This is Montana. A little pocket of winter storm warnings up in South Dakota, but we got winter storm warnings up for this entire area of Iowa. Des Moines, winter storm warnings up. Sioux City, winter storm warnings. Minneapolis, just winter weather advisories, but you get south of Minneapolis, you guys have winter storm warnings. Milwaukee, winter storm warning. Green Bay, same thing. Madison, La Crosse, Chicago, Bloomington. Right now, St. Louis, winter weather advisories. We'll see if we'll get an upgrade. We could get significant changes in this area. We just got to watch how colder or warmer we trend with the models. Indianapolis, you're just tucked into a winter storm watch. I do think this entire area right in here will get upgraded to winter storm warnings, Fort Wayne included, Kalamazoo, winter storm watches, and I think we'll get winter storm watches expanded into Detroit here in the coming 12 hours or so. So there's a lot on the way, guys, a lot to figure out. All right. Whew, take a deep breath, and let's switch gears and talk about the system on the way for next week. And this is, under 80 hours, guys. This is right out ahead of us. There's so much to figure out. This is the latest morning Euro run. So as we're starting to move into Monday morning, some snow is breaking out across Kansas, even the southern half of Nebraska. How far south will this get into Oklahoma? We got to figure that one out. But I do think we'll get a little bit of snow into northern areas of Oklahoma. Could we get a wintry mix into the Ozarks, in the northern Arkansas, southern sections of Missouri? Absolutely. This is getting into Monday evening. You see a little bit of snow riding up here on top of snow that's already going to fall. So just a wintry time up here for the Midwest. And then we are getting into late Monday night into Tuesday morning. Check out the snow flying around in northern areas of Arkansas. And even a little bit of snow showing up for the Boot Hill, Missouri. A little bit of snow in western areas of Kentucky. So we got to watch this. A little bit of snow even for northwestern areas of Tennessee. And I do think, let's back it up here, we could have a wintry mix here in central areas of Arkansas. GFS is aggressive with that, but I think it's overdoing it a little bit. And then we switch gears and we talk about the eastern U.S. And here it comes. We're getting to Tuesday morning. And guys, this is trending into an all-out winter storm for areas of the eastern U.S. We got a band of heavy snow right here, kind of in the mid-Mississippi Valley area. This is all rain, a soaking rain, much needed rain across the southeast. But low pressure is cutting. Could start out some freezing rain in the favorite areas of Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, cold air damming regions. And even could start out some snow in West Virginia and northern Virginia. And we keep going, and we take it all the way out into Tuesday afternoon. Look at this snow. It's cold enough to be snow in Ohio, northern areas of West Virginia. It's snowing in northern Kentucky Tuesday afternoon the 2nd. 1,001 millibar low. This is all rain in the Carolinas and most of the Delmarva, the Tidewater. D.C., just north of you guys, it's snowing. Philadelphia, Baltimore, you're right on the fringe of this. All right, and let's just go on and switch this to the northeast. Okay, and then check this out. And I do want to mention some back-end snow, wintry mix is possible for the northwest favored areas of Tennessee and North Carolina, Virginia. But you got a 991 low off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic in the northeast. The immediate I-95 corridor struggling with a mix of rain and snow. But if you get into that snow area, this could be extremely heavy, wet snow. And this could be a significant stripe of heavy snowfall accumulation. Northern New Jersey, it's snowing like crazy. And we got to figure out where this rain snow line is going to be. Meteorologists already in the northeast are trying to figure this one out. And for example, if the Euro is correct, you start out as rain in Boston, then could potentially switch to heavy snow late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This is all snow along the main coastline. How far north does this trend? Do we get heavy wet snow further north? But this is your classic looking northeast storm. Do we call this a nor'easter? I don't think, because it doesn't get trapped and spin around, but I will say that this low pressure really deepens and we will try to figure out Atlantic Canada as we go too. But Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and of course everybody else in Atlantic Canada needs to watch for this also. And then everything tapers off into Wednesday. But guys, we got to figure out where the rain snow line is going to be. New York City would stay mainly rain. Could start out as snow, but man, where is this rain snow line going to be? Right now, it looks like Long Island's just a cold soaking rain. But you know, it even shows snow back in Maryland. I mean, this is Tuesday evening. Man, so much to figure out, guys. So, and I will kind of switch back and look at this. You can see sort of that back and wintry mix potential here in the southern Appalachian Mountains. So, the signal for snowfall, here it is. This is the Euro Ensemble, and you're going to see that 24-hour period here. A couple inches of snow is possible across Kansas, getting into Missouri, into the Midwest. 1 to 2 inch snowfall average mean ensemble blend. Not a heavy signal, and I do think on the southern fringe of this could get a little bit of freezing rain. We'll fine-tune the details when we're in range of those National Weather Service graphics. And then we take a look at the eastern U.S., and this is the winter storm on the way for this weekend. And you're going to see that disappear, and then you're going to see another snowfall footprint appear. And right now, the Ohio Valley, areas in the Midwest, a 1 to 2 inch snowfall average. But watch how this really begins to blossom and fill in for areas of the Northeast. I mean, right now you have over a 5-inch snowfall average in areas of the Northeast and New England. So this is a heavy signal for a significant snowstorm across areas of the Northeast and maybe across sections of the Mid-Atlantic. And then this moves away. We also have to watch out for some ice with this. It's combining what happens early next week and then the storm for next week in general. We could have a couple tenths of an inch of ice in the favorite areas of the Appalachian Mountains. So this is a heavy ice signal for this region. We need to watch out for this because I do think we could get an ice storm in those favorite areas of West Virginia, maybe even northern areas of North Carolina. So we need to watch for this freezing rain with the cold air damming. So the pattern in general coming up, okay, this is our system. So the blue areas, this is lower pressure. And then you see the red and orange and yellow areas. This is higher pressure. So this is starting off Sunday morning. I'm going to draw on this a little bit. We got a ridge spiking up into Alaska. This is providing and kind of dislodging our cold air source into our storm system for this week. And you see this secondary blob of blue and green right here. This is our winter storm this weekend making its way across the Midwest. It's not quite literally that big, but you get what I'm saying. This is our cold air source. This is our storm system moving in. So cold air is pumping into this, making it cold enough for snow. Okay, so we keep this going, right? Let's get this back in motion. And we start to move into next week. So same thing, our cold air source stays in place. This is our cold air source pumping in that cold air down into this area of lower pressure. So this blue is energy in the atmosphere. This area right here is pumping cold air into that energy. So we have that winter storm risk number 2 for next week. You see this kind of extension of blue right here. That's lower pressure, our storm system itself. Cold air source being right here. Okay, now we move past this time frame. What do we got next? I'm already watching, and this is our cold source, still anchored over areas of Canada. I'm already watching another extension of a trough digging down as we're getting into next weekend, like the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. Look at this deep diving trough digging down. Still got a ridge flex up into this area, even a little bit of a positive PNA, which is ridging into the west. And cold air diving back down with this trough, this dip in the jet. Are we going to have any sort of storm system with this? Or is this just going to be cold or dry, or just kind of a combination of both? We got to figure that one out. But this is time frame number 3 that I'm trying to figure out. But there's so much to figure out ahead of us that it's hard to get super detailed on this. But this is an obvious huge signal for another trough digging down across Canada and the eastern U.S. And what happens after that? This is getting past day 10. Who knows? But all I can tell you is our cold air source continues to show up here over Canada and the northern areas of the U.S. And I have reason to believe that we're going to continue to have drops of cold air into the lower 48 from the higher latitudes. So, And, you know, the signal for that third time frame, it's a little different on the, you know, the Euro AI ensemble guidance. I just showed you the EPS, the Euro ensemble. The trough orientation is different. It's more broad. It's not digging as aggressive, but there's still something there. And regardless, if we look at the temperatures compared to average, we'll start off for next week. You see the blues, the greens. This is below average temperatures. And for early December, this is just downright cold air, anywhere from 5 to 15, 20 degrees below average. So colder than average temperatures will hang out for the central to eastern U.S. We're going to have another blob of cold air that comes down. And here it comes, kind of pushing back down. And that's that trough drop that I just talked about for that third time frame into next weekend. All right, another push of cold air drops down. And I think I have reason to believe that this will be colder than what models are showing because there's going to be snowpack that this cold air is going to go over. That's one thing to mention. And then we start to get past the day 10 time frame, and it continues to look cold in the same areas. We're just freezing up this glacier up here in this area of the country. And just to go over the MJO as we get deeper in December, okay? And this is the latest MJO chart. The latest MJO flow has us racing to phase 8 now very, very fast. So we've untangled this knot that we've been talking about. All right, so this is MJO phase. So what does this mean? All right, let's draw on this for a minute. All right, so this is phase 6, phase 5, phase 4. All right, and this is warm phases. So normally in phase 6, 5, and 4, warm air is going to be the common theme across the lower 48. We can still get shots of cold air, but the majority of the country is dominated by warm air, especially phase 6 across the central and eastern U.S. Phase 7, sort of an in-between transitional phase. Same thing with phase 3, but we're not nowhere close to that, so we're not going to speak on that. We are in phase 7 right now. See the 27? That was yesterday. 29th? That is tomorrow. So we're right in the middle. So we're right in this area, okay? We're in phase 7 right now. We just left phase 6. Where are we heading? Well, the latest MJO progression has us racing to phase 8. And if you've been tuning in, phase 8, 1, and 2 are wintry and cold phases for winter. And we're heading right towards it. We're racing towards it now. In fact, it says by next week, that 3, that is December the 3rd, we're going to enter MJO phase 8, which is a cold and wintry phase in winter, in late fall, and early spring for areas of the central and eastern U.S. And then it has us just kind of meandering in phase 8 for an extended period of time, all the way up to Christmas. It kind of gets in that circle of death area right here. We call it COD, where it's tough to know what's going to happen. But man, this thing just hangs out in phase 8. So this is good news for winter weather fans. And I think model guidance will continue to respond to this. So it honestly continues to look better and better for winter weather and cold weather fans as we get deeper into December. If you're not a winter weather, cold weather fan, it's not going to look better and better for you. So we're just going to stop it at that. That's all I got. Man, I struggled to get this video going this morning. It's almost 8:30 and I haven't even started uploading the video yet. So anyways, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day and we'll do it again tonight.